India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kambhoj, has alleged bias for 5 nations, and she has also questioned effectiveness of multilateralism. She has said, and I quote, "Can we practice effective multilateralism by defending a charter that makes 5 nations more equal than others and provides to each of those 5 the power to ignore the collective will of remaining 188 member states?" India was a founding signatory to the UN Charter when it was signed on 26 June 1945 in San Francisco, and she also said that how much longer will we keep decorating effective multilateralism with the intent of reforming multilateralism with only words and mere lip service. Let's listen in to what Ruchira Kambhoj said.
Can we practice effective multilateralism by defending a charter that makes 5 nations more equal than others and provides to each of those 5 the power to ignore the collective will of the remaining 188 member states? India was a founding signatory to the UN Charter when it was signed on 26 June 1945 in San Francisco. 77 years later, when we see the world's largest democracy along with entire continents of Africa and Latin America being kept out of global decision-making, we rightly call for a major course correction.
CNN News 18 Siddhant is joining us. Siddhant, can you give us more context to this statement made by Ambassador Ruchira Kambhoj, where she's alleging bias for 5 nations and is also questioning the effectiveness of multilateralism?
That is of course, India's stand, and Ruchira Kambhoj, permanent ambassador of India to the United Nations, put forth that stand accurately. And also, interestingly, this entire debate was in fact organized by Russia, since Russia is a chair for the month of April in United Nations. So, time and again, India has been raising voice against. In favor of more democratic functioning of United Nations Security Council, and the same has been reiterated by Ruchira Kambhoj. Now, even yesterday, while speaking while speaking abroad, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar also did highlight that how India is the 5th largest economy, the most populous country in the world. But despite that, India has been kept away from the decision-making of the UNSC. And not just India. India is also raising concern about the whole of Africa, Latin America, that how all this population has been kept away from the decision-making of UNSC, or perhaps the 5 nations can veto the decision that these countries take. So the question is being raised on the entire process of United Nations Security Council, and India is demanding effective multilateralism. So when these 5 nations, or perhaps the Western countries, talk about effective multilateralism, then India says that it is just a lip service.
All right, Siddhant, thank you for giving us that context to Ruchira Kambhoj's statement. It's time for a short break, but we'll be right back with more stories. Stay tuned.